Brianna walks alone, her figure moving carefully through the rough Scottish landscape. The hills stretch endlessly around her, covered in a quiet mist that clings to every stone and blade of grass. She is faceless in our story, shown only through the rustle of her long coat, the tremble of her hand brushing against the tall grass, the steady sound of her boots pressing into the earth. She has traveled far, farther than anyone could imagine, crossing not just land but the boundaries of time itself. Her heart carries weight. It beats with questions she has carried for years. She knows the name Jamie Fraser. She has heard the stories told in hushed voices by her mother Claire, tales of a man larger than life, a man who fought battles, protected his people, and carried love deep within his soul. And yet, until now, Jamie has been nothing more than a shadow in her mind, a legend she could not touch. Every step brings her closer to the truth, yet every step also fills her with fear. What if he does not recognize her? What if the man she has traveled centuries to find cannot accept her? The path behind her is gone. She cannot return. Ahead lies only the unknown. The wind swirls around her, carrying with it the faint sounds of the Highlands, distant birds, the whisper of water rushing through the valleys, the low cry of the wind itself. These sounds remind her that she is not in her own time anymore. The modern world she knew is far away. Here the air is raw, the earth feels untouched, and the silence speaks louder than words. She pauses for a moment on a rise. Below her, the land stretches into shadow and light. Somewhere out there is Jamie Fraser. Somewhere out there is her father. She closes her eyes, steadying her breath. A part of her wants to run, to delay the truth, but another part pushes her forward, stronger than fear. She has not come this far to turn back now. Her hand clutches the small token she carries, a reminder of where she comes from and why she is here. Her eyes, unseen by us, burn with both doubt and hope. Each beat of her heart echoes like a drum, louder and louder, pulling her toward the meeting that will change everything. The landscape shifts as clouds move overhead, the light breaking through for a brief moment. It feels almost like a sign, as though the land itself is guiding her steps. And with that light, Brianna takes one more step forward, toward the man who has lived in her story but never in her reality. This is the beginning of a moment that will redefine not just who she is, but who she has always been meant to be. The sound of iron striking wood breaks the silence. Sparks fly in the dim light of a Highland campfire. A broad silhouette moves with quiet strength, every motion slow and deliberate. We never see his face, only the details that define him. The roughness of calloused hands, the worn leather of his boots, the edge of a blade catching firelight. Jamie Fraser is a man shaped by struggle. His life has been marked by wars fought, oaths kept, and sacrifices made. The weight of history clings to him like the heavy cloak draped over his shoulders. To the world, he is the laird of men, the protector of clans, the soldier who has carried scars across continents. But inside, beneath that iron shell, is something deeper, a space that has always been left unfilled. When he looks out over the moors, the wind pressing against him, he sees the world not as it was, but as it should have been, a life with family, a life not haunted by absence. He has loved deeply and lost painfully, and though time has carried him forward, one truth has always followed. The daughter he never met still lingers in the corners of his soul. Jamie's presence is heavy, yet there is an unmistakable gentleness hidden in the way his hands pause over the steel of his sword, or how his shoulders soften when the firelight flickers on his worn features. These are not just the marks of a warrior. They are the marks of a father who does not yet know he is about to meet his child. The land around him feels like an extension of his spirit. The hills, solid and unyielding, mirror his strength. The restless wind mirrors his quiet longing. He does not speak, yet his silence carries volumes. Each pause, each slow breath is a man unknowingly waiting for the moment that will turn his world on its head. The fire crackles louder now, shadows stretching behind him as though history itself reaches for him. There is no sign yet of what is coming, no warning that destiny is walking closer with each passing second. But the air feels different, charged, restless, alive. Something is stirring in the distance, and Jamie Fraser, though unaware, is standing on the edge of the greatest revelation of his life. He shifts his stance, adjusting the blade at his side, unaware that the next sound he hears will not be of battle or war, but of footsteps carrying the echo of his own blood. This is not just a man waiting by the fire. This is a father, unknowingly standing one breath away from meeting the daughter he has only ever known in dreams. The land itself begins to hold its breath. Mist curls low across the valley, shifting like a veil between two worlds. On one side, Brianna presses forward, each step guided by determination. On the other, Jamie stands steady, rooted in a life carved from hardship. They do not yet see each other, but the invisible thread of blood and destiny pulls them closer with every heartbeat. Brianna's footsteps echo across the damp earth. She moves carefully, her figure framed by the rolling fog, the outline of her form merging with the Highland shadows. Her hand brushes against the stone wall of an ancient ruin, as though the past itself is steadying her. She breathes deeply, unaware that each breath carries her closer to the truth she has been chasing. Across the distance, Jamie senses something, though he cannot name it. His shoulders tighten and his hand hovers briefly over the hilt of his blade. Years of battle have taught him to read the quiet, to hear the language of silence. The fire behind him flickers higher, throwing his shadow long against the stones. For a moment he feels watched. Not by enemy eyes, but by something older, something deeper, perhaps fate itself. The landscape becomes a stage. The wind carries the faint echo of Brianna's movements, though Jamie cannot yet hear them. A bird breaks suddenly from the branches overhead, scattering feathers into the sky. Both pause, two souls in separate places, each feeling a shift they cannot explain. Brianna tightens her grip on the keepsake in her hand, her pulse quickening. Her mind races with questions, doubts pressing at her edges. What if he turns away? What if he cannot believe her? Yet even as fear gnaws at her, her steps do not falter. She is drawn forward by something greater than choice. Jamie turns toward the horizon. His face is hidden from us, but his body speaks in quiet tension. The man who has faced armies, prisons, and loss without flinching now stands unknowingly on the edge of something far more powerful than war, the bond of blood. The distance between them narrows. Neither knows it yet, but the silence around them has shifted into something expectant, like a drumbeat beneath the earth. Two paths forged across centuries are about to cross. The mist thickens, the fire crackles, and the wind grows restless. The Highlands themselves seem to lean forward, waiting. In just a moment, history will bend and the line between past and future will vanish. This is not coincidence. This is not chance. This is destiny, drawing Jamie and Brianna together at last. The world falls silent. Even the restless wind slows, as if it knows what is about to unfold. Through the curtain of mist, Brianna steps into the open, her figure still faceless but unmistakably real. She stops, breath caught in her chest. Just ahead, outlined by the glow of the fire, stands Jamie Fraser. He turns slowly, unaware of what he is about to see. His shadow stretches tall, but for the first time he seems smaller, like a man standing at the edge of something he cannot control. His hands still, his breath stills. It is not the movement of an enemy that holds him frozen. It is something stranger, something that pulls at him from the inside. For a heartbeat, neither moves. Father and daughter, separated by centuries, stare across the narrow distance that feels as wide as time itself. Brianna's hand trembles. She wants to speak, but her voice catches in her throat. How do you tell a man that you are his child when he has never even known you existed? How do you step into the life of someone who has lived in your imagination, but never in your arms? Her silence is heavy, but her presence is louder than words. Jamie feels it before he understands it, the weight in the air. The strange familiarity in the way she stands, the echo of his own blood calling to him. His chest tightens as though years of emptiness are finally being filled. He does not yet know her name, but he knows deep down that she belongs to him. Finally, Brianna speaks. Her words are soft, almost breaking, but they cut through the silence with more force than a cry. She tells him who she is. She tells him the truth her mother could not bring across time. Jamie's face is unseen, but his body betrays him. His shoulders shake, his head tilts, and his hands rise halfway before falling again, as though he cannot quite believe it. For the first time in years, Jamie Fraser is without armor. No blade, no shield, just a man stripped bare by love and revelation. The distance collapses. Brianna takes one step, then another, until she stands before him. Jamie reaches out, his hand trembling, hovering in the air like a question. And then at last the answer comes, her hand meets his. A father and daughter united not by time, but by blood, by destiny, by love that has waited too long. Their arms wrap around each other. Faceless silhouettes merge against the firelight, shadows melting into one. The world for a moment holds still, because history has just been rewritten. This is not a meeting. It is a homecoming. The fire crackles softly, its glow fading into the endless dark of the Highlands. The embrace lingers, not rushed, not hurried, as if both souls are afraid that letting go will wake them from a dream. For a man who has carried battles and scars, and for a daughter who has carried questions and hope, this moment is more than reunion. It is a promise. Around them the land seems to soften. The mist rises higher, curling like a protective veil, sealing this instant away from the rest of the world. The trees bend gently with the wind. The stones stand still as witnesses, and even the silence feels sacred. Time, which has always been their greatest enemy, becomes still and merciful. Brianna rests in the safety of her father's arms, feeling for the first time a piece of herself she had only imagined. Jamie holds her with both strength and fragility, as though afraid she might slip back into the centuries that once kept them apart. There are no words now because none are needed. Every heartbeat between them says what the tongue cannot. I found you. I will never lose you again. The world outside will move on. Battles will return, hardships will come, and the weight of destiny will not disappear. But for this single moment, nothing else matters. This is a sanctuary built not of stone or steel, but of blood, love, and time finally yielding to fate. As the fire burns low, their shadows fade into the earth. The Highlands stretch wide, ancient and eternal, carrying their story into its soil. This encounter will not just live in their hearts. It will echo through generations, a reminder that love does not obey the limits of time. The screen fades to black. A single line of narration remains. Some meetings are written long before they happen, and when they finally come, the world itself must stop and listen. The music swells, haunting, beautiful, unbroken, and the story of Jamie and Brianna's first encounter rests, like a secret carried by the wind. When two lives touch for the first time, the world is never the same again. For Jamie and Brianna, their meeting is not just a moment, it is the stitching together of two torn pieces of history. What was once absence becomes presence, and what was once silence now hums with belonging. The Highlands do not forget. The stones, the rivers, the winds, they have seen generations rise and fall. Now they have witnessed the reunion of father and daughter, who should have been separated forever. This story, whispered by time, will be carried forward like an echo across valleys and skies, reminding all who hear it that love cannot be contained by centuries. For Brianna, this encounter is more than discovery. It is a claiming of roots, a truth that steadies her spirit. She no longer walks as someone split between worlds. She carries the strength of her mother and the fire of her father united within her. The questions that once haunted her fade into certainty. She belongs here in this bloodline, in this story, no matter the years that kept them apart. For Jamie, it is the healing of an invisible wound. A father who lived with a shadow of absence now feels the fullness of life rushing back into him. Where there was once loss, there is now presence. Where there was once longing, there is now love made real. In holding Brianna, he holds the proof that no war, no loss, not even time itself can erase what was meant to be. And so, as their embrace softens and the night deepens, a legacy is born. This encounter is not just theirs, it belongs to the generations that will follow. It belongs to the story of Outlander itself. A tale of love that bends centuries, a tale of fate that does not yield, a tale of family that cannot be broken. The screen fades to a vast highland horizon, the land stretching endless and eternal. A voice speaks softly, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. What is written in blood cannot be undone by time, and when love waits, it always finds its way home. The music rises once more, haunting, timeless, unforgettable. Then silence. Time is not a straight line. It bends, it folds, it carries us where we are meant to be, no matter how impossible the path may seem. For Jamie and Brianna, time was not a barrier but a bridge. Their first encounter was never a question of if, but when. The highland mist drifts away, the fire dies low, but their bond burns brighter than either flame or dawn. Father and daughter, once strangers to each other, now stand as proof that love does not recognize centuries. It does not falter at distance. It does not break under silence. Love endures, always. As they hold each other, the world seems to whisper their names. The stones carry it. The wind repeats it. The earth itself remembers it. This meeting is more than family. It is a reminder that the strongest ties are the ones written not by chance but by destiny. The image fades to the rolling highlands, endless and eternal. Over it, the final words fall like a vow. Time may scatter us. History may divide us. But love will always find its way back. This is the story of Jamie and Brianna's first encounter. Not an ending, only a beginning. The music swells one last time, soaring, unbroken, unforgettable, before fading into silence. The screen goes dark. Only the title remains, glowing faintly as if carved into time itself. Jamie and Brianna's first encounter. Outlander.